Basically, I was asked to be involved in an exhibition at the New Zealand Academy of Fine Arts, and it was just basically an opportunity for me to do some personal work, which doesn't happen that often. And I wanted to incorporate some of the style of my commercial work into a personal piece, and something that carried a bit of weight to it. The location was key, and really the whole idea for the shoot didn't come about till I was driving by the location, but I was driving over to Blenheim for a shoot, and there was an area that had just been recently logged, and it was just like a war zone. This whole hillside was just obliterated, and it was from that point that I really started to develop the idea of doing of shooting the fallen there. And so the theme was the logging, and then just basically choosing which characters were going to portray which elements, and just basically starting the visualization process of what the final image was going to be like. Certainly the part of England that I'm from, there isn't any pine plantations, and obviously, I understand that this region, it's a big for the economic, side for the region, but the process by which whole hillsides get logged, became the theme for the shoot, really. And so we had the characters of the executioner being representing, not one particular company, but just multinational companies that come in and sort of pillage the land. But it's like, I understand that they replant and they have some awareness, but it's just a brutal way to treat the land, really. So the executioner was representing that sort of group of corporate wealth, and then the female character was representing, on not too much of a hippie note, but representing nature and her resilience to, take the shit and just come back with it, really. So from that original idea, I went about searching for how those two characters could be represented in the final shot. Well, once we'd sorted the location out, and we had some early production meetings where we sourced the models, and I'd kind of sourced the key production elements that I knew I needed. So I needed wind machines, generators. We needed a theatrical makeup artist to look after the fake blood that we were going to use. Yeah, I was really keen that the production for the shoot involved quite a lot of processes, and you actually, put a lot of time into working out what we needed, bring all the elements in, so that when we were there for the morning of the shoot, we had everything we knew, or I certainly knew what I was going to achieve with what we needed. And that involves taking generators out onto site, commercial wind machines. We needed 5 metre length of parachute silk. We had the makeup lady construct like a sort of fake blood mixture. All the elements had to be there because there was people involved. We're all kind of doing it in our own time. The models were 2 models that I'd shot recently on commercial jobs, and I kind of approached them with the idea, and they were really keen. The male model who was representing the executioner is actually a very slight, sort of toned model, and I didn't want to go with like a really beefy model. It was because I wanted to give it that kind of fashion edge as well. That was another thing that was important to me. And the female model I'd shot lots of times commercially, and a very confident model, and was more than willing to sort of meet all the demands that I placed on both of them, really. So it was good. Well, even before we did the shoot, I knew that the final size that the image was going to be to go in the Academy of Fine Art was 2.4 meters by 1.2. So I knew I wanted to do it really, really big, and I knew that the background of the image had to be basically stitched together. So we basically shot vertical shots, 10 vertical shots of the location from a tripod, and then the male model was shot separately, and then the female model was shot separately, and then because it was all from the same axis, that they could be then dropped in. But also it gave me the ability to bring the lights in really close, bring the wind machine in, and just create the lighting on the models, which to me is what it all rests on. It gave me the ability to do that, and there was probably half a day's post-production to put it together. And the final file that we sent to ImageLab was, I think it was a 650 megabyte file. That was the final file that got printed. So it's a big file. The response to the exhibition in Wellington was fantastic. We had it is a relatively controversial shot, but it's pretty tame by today's standards, really. But it did. Certain people didn't get it. They didn't get the message. Not that I ever set out to do firstly a controversial piece or there's some message in it. It just kind of grew of its own, sort of its own body. But yeah, some people don't sort of like it. Mostly old ladies, I must say. But it was also important that it was a powerful work, and that it asked questions, left things open. When people get close to the picture and see the blood on the chainsaw and the chest of the executioner and the arms, I think that's what's got people's backs up, really, which is what the plan was. It was the violence. Like trees don't bleed, we all know that, but that was just a poetic license for what symbolising the cutting down of living trees. I always knew the characters were going to be relatively small in the shot, which didn't matter because it was so big. You'd be able to see the characters in detail, but this hillside is so big, I wanted to make the shot big so that the whole landscape and the location really came through. So it's a very stark, I also wanted to be very stark, and the lighting to be very stark and contrasty, which is the sort of stuff I like to shoot anyway. I think it has, it's definitely set something rolling in me that, something I feel passionate about, and utilising myself as a photographer with that whole, sort of edgy photography, or that sort of, maybe bring in fashion elements to shots in the middle of the woods or in natural sort of landscape shots, tying in the state of the world today or trying to paint a picture with that. I don't want to get all hippie on this, but I don't come under the greeny, hippie sort of banner. I pollute the world as much as anyone, but there are certain lines that can be drawn. Yeah. The whole concept of The Fallen was about corporate world against the planet, really. So, I've picked out logging as one example, but there are many examples that could be covered in this sort of work. But I think, the whole project's taught me about putting decent production into my work. The team of people that were involved, all really enjoyed it as well. And I think at the end of the day, it was fun. It's a fun piece. It's not, it's not serious. It's not. The message isn't trying to be too hard. The message kind of came out at the end of it, really. It was about having a laugh, doing something for ourselves, and for me, to direct a group of people into something that, I wanted to achieve, and I think I achieved that. And that's a buzz.